find yourself getting passed by multiple cars, as I mentioned earlier on. So Newhoff in a very precarious situation, but he often finds himself in these places. Doesn't qualify as well as he races.
Up front, they are getting with Lee Aberdeen and Luca Varani not very far apart at all here. But I just want to see how Alistair Haig deals with Marcello Kessler coming around the old hairpin.
Say it's not the best decision they've ever made, just not having done that under the safety car, really.
Yeah, they're taking their pit stop strategies from Ferrari lately or something. What's going on?
In turn one, just too much gas on them, too much feet on the loud pedal, and unfortunately he's dropped him all the way down the order. But Philip Hammer is out in front by an 8.91 seconds. Dan Michael is a wall there, sir. And it definitely doesn't want to be hitting that earlier on as well.
Difficult, the understeer is in the dirty air through that final corner because it's such a long corner and you get dragged off into the grass very easily. He'll have the slipstream down it towards the chicane. Peterson was briefly alongside, but that slipstream has saved him and kept him in third.
Yeah, Varani now lost a little bit of time to Aberdeen, about half a second. Peterson is Pike's pushed Morton forward up ahead. He's got out of line. It's now Pike going to have a go at Werrell. Don't push him off. He's in the championship fight. Jack Werrell chasing down Carl Jacklin. Further down, Rob Williams and Chris Barnes.
Sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's come back into play. Exactly. Miller's still start dropping. He's not on second and change. All of a sudden Miller's back in play.
On to the back end of Phil Jocelyn. So there's been a lot of movers and shakers in this first 2 laps here for race.
Absolutely serious racing league. Everybody's a lot have fun. Yeah, and it's all about the entertainment. So I hope everybody is enjoying themselves out there in the chat. We know that Ron is enjoying himself watching. And the Burger King machine's off into the grass a little bit there. Is that really bunching up now?
Hello everybody and welcome to Sebring for round 8 of the J2iCS Endurance Series here for the 8th round. It is myself, Ewan alongside James Parfitt, and we're here for the racing tonight. 90 minutes in wonderful GTE machines. We got a nice strong field as well of nearly 20 on the field for us to enjoy. Now, I'm not going to do a very good job of selling you this race, to be honest, because it's at Sebring, and it's fairly well known that I don't like the circuit very much. But someone who will be able to sell this race to us a little bit more is James Parfitt alongside me. I mean, you like the circuit, especially more than me, James. I mean, what exactly have we got to look forward to this evening?
Well, I think you're off base, to be honest with you, with your disillusional dislike of Sebring, right? I really like this circuit. The bumps are going to be very, very testing for people. And, you know, the fast-flowing corners, turn one, sunset, we've got all of this to look forward to. We've got tight, twisty racing going up through Cunningham, through Tower, and you are just wrong, Mr. O'Leary. That's all I'm going to say when it comes to your dislike of Sebring.
It's the only time I've mentioned it. Well, I've tried.
It's
but
not the only time. We've been at JPBroadcasting and you've mentioned Sebring.
No, I mean tonight it's going to be the only time, but that might be a promise that I can't quite keep. So we'll see about that as we go through. 15 minutes to qualifying first. So while we're in there, we're going to have a look at the championship standings going into the final few rounds of this season, and it is getting very, very close indeed. After last week's win for Dickinson, getting ahead of Nottingham. It is a 3-point championship advantage that he now holds. Joshua Spears and Bozak are both pretty close as well. The top four covered by just 16 points. It's a very interesting situation indeed. In the 5th position, we've got Urco, and then following on from that, just on the same points actually is Edmundus. Then we got Prince Adam in 7th place, down in 8th place at the moment. Sorry, I'm flicking between screens here, it's very confusing. Spook Dubs is in 8th place at the moment, followed by Sector. Then in 10th position we have got who have we got? Can't quite read it.
Spring Flower.
So, thank you, Spring. I'm slightly struggling to read. That's my fault. Just 1 point further behind than that is who have we got after that? Goodness me, Biker Pilot. Sorry,
Biker Pilot in 11th.
Sorry, yeah. Well, you carry on. You do the rest. I can't read it anymore.
Miller is in 12th place there. Then we've got Bob Nova, Garlic Dog, and Cat Daddy rounded out the top 15. Mr. O'Leary clearly has a date with Specsavers tomorrow. Simply Steve in 16th, and Brockley Motorsport 17th, AJ 18th, Long Island 19th, and Omega is in 20th. That is your top 20.
Exactly, because the font's no smaller than it normally is, but it looks small to me today, so I might be actually losing my eyesight. It's not a good thing. Oh dear. Anyway,
off you go, son. Get the glasses in.
I've survived longer than anyone in my family, and at the ripe old age of 21, and I might be finally flailing. Anyway, let's move on. Qualifying a few minutes in, and the first laps will be coming in very soon as well. The first driver out there at the moment is Squilliam in the Porsche. A lot of Porsches in the field as well. I think we've commented on before. Couple of Ferraris in the field here today, along with a couple of Corvettes and even a Ford as well. But this Porsche is very much the platform that everyone chooses, and it certainly sounds the best. I'll give it that.
Well, yeah, I still like the Vet. I've got to be honest, the Corvette's cool. And let's be real, you've got to give a lot of love for Springflower repping the Ford. It was a great car, and it had its day, but come on, look at it. It still looks gorgeous.
I can't lie, I didn't like this car when it was around, purely because they effectively broke the BOP rules to win Le Mans, but anyway, that's not his fault. It does look good, and it does sound very unique as well in the glory days of GTE, which I would describe as about 6 years ago now, unfortunately, but it does look good, and it's good that it's got at least some representation in this field. Let's see how it goes though in terms of these opening times. Squilliam about to set the benchmark for everybody else to beat as he goes over the line now. What is the first time? It's a 1:56.8. Now is that going to be beaten by the others? Well, not immediately by Prince Adam. Gavin Adam goes into what is now 4th place as Dickinson goes to the top with a 56.7. And look at that, that's very interesting. Pulls immediately to the side of the road to get a new set of tyres and go again.
Yeah, definitely on that one. Penny, the answer to your question is Upfront Motorsports of Dickinson and Joshua Spears still hold on to the lead of the team championships, but are only out in front by 17 points. So the team championship is still up for grabs, but it's only by 17 points that they are currently out in front. So yeah, there we go for the boys of the Upfront Motorsports team there as well. That is of course in front of Night Racing, which is Hayden Fowler and Jaden Manoff-Gowrin here this evening.
And that's Bozak for those who are looking for the nickname. He's going quite quickly at the moment, actually. Just crossed the line there. Does he go pole? No, 3rd. So does improve decently, but not quite at the very front. Does become the best of the non-Porsches in 3rd position. But as I mentioned at the top of the show, it's Dickinson and Notovin who've been tied together much of this season. Going into last week's race, actually, they were tied on points. They are now 3 apart after Dickinson beating him to the line last time around. It is just 3 points, and there are 3 races to go, including the one that we've got here this evening. And that is one of the big things we're going to have to focus on during this race. However, it's not been a great start to this qualifying session for Notovin. It is interesting that they're in different manufacturers, of course, and they are still so well matched. But it's not a great early sign for the Canadian that we are seeing the gap between them. It's currently half a second after just one flying lap.
Yeah, but the track will rubber in, the track will evolve, so it's going to be interesting to see on that one how these guys get on, and I think it could be very, very interesting. This will be a night race as well, so we're going to be looking to see how these guys get on once more, and whether or not they're going to be okay in the dark. Of course, the Sebring does have lights. It's not got pole lights, it's got cat eyes lights. If you've never seen a night race at Sebring before, it's got the cat eyes on it, so that corner is going to be a little bit of a problem if he does that again, so he's got to be a little bit careful. And coming out of this one where we've seen so many people end up in the barrier on the left hand side there, so looking forward to a night race. I think this is going to be an interesting one, I think, on this, and I think it could be it is going to be exciting, but I'm hoping it becomes exciting without the Porsche dominated field that we've got at this moment in time.
But it will be mostly dark, by the way. It won't start quite dark from what we've been given. I've been told it's going to be starting 30 minutes before sunset, the race, so we are going to get a bit of daylight-ish running before we get into night. But you're right, we will be finishing under the very, very few lights that they actually have at this circuit. Yeah, I still think the racing will be good, even though there is a Porsche-dominated feel to this field. After all, it does make up well over 3/4 actually, but just around 3/4. However, we're still going to see some good racing, that is for sure, over the course of the evening. Notovin will be next to the line of the front 4, and Joshua Spears just behind him. Few people speculating on the run-up into this race whether he is involved in the championship fight now as well. He's now 3rd, 15 points behind Sean Dickinson, of course, who's leading the standings, and Bozak is only a further point behind that. I mean, is it sensible for us to say, or even with the relative limited amount of points actually you get per round in this series, is it a stretch for us to say we've still got a 4-way championship fight going on at the moment with 3 rounds to go?
No, it's not a stretch for us to say that, because as we've seen, anything can happen, right? These guys take part in the sprint series, which is last week, then the endurance, then you got the sprint and the endurance, and we've seen a lot over in the sprint series of how it can change, and with contact coming between Notovin and who was it? Contact Notovin and was it Bozak? I think it was, and they had contact together for the team. So there's a lot of things that can happen, and I think at the end of the day, this isn't going to be any different. I think that's the situation. There could just be so much that can happen here, and I think these guys are really going to try and go out in full force and show us what they've got. And obviously it's a little bit more difficult for us in general because obviously we've come in halfway through the season, or last, what have we got, 4 rounds I think it is of the season to go, and at the end of the day, these guys have put on a show in the sprint, and I think they're going to do the same in this one, and I think we're in for some great evening of racing. Yes, would I like to see the Ford up the front? Absolutely. The Ferrari, the Corvette, you want to see them all up there and really interrupt the Porsche kind of matriarchy that we've got at this moment in time. But is it going to be a problem? Probably not. Is the racing still going to be good? It's Sebring. It always brings good racing. I know you will disagree with me, Mr. O'Leary, and it's probably not going to be the first time for us this evening that we're going to disagree on this track, but I think the racing will be very, very exciting nonetheless.
Well, we'll see over the course. We'll find out together over the next hour and a half.
We're in it together.
We are.
We are for 90 minutes.
Full of personal bests coming in for Spring Flowered in 12th place. The only Ford, as you were talking about it there, just getting a couple of improvements. A few bad sectors after that, though. There has been another one. There it is in the background. You see the sort of pink-ish livery, multicoloured in some ways. Over the line goes Spring Flower. I think it is an improvement, but no improvement of position. And that's actually quite noticeable in this qualifying session so far. The field spread quite large. Everybody has set times now, and the spread is 4.3 seconds from 1st to 18th, where Jason Winucki is from Dickinson, who still holds the pole position.
Yeah, and, Dickinson being out front, it's not a surprise, I think, to a lot of people at the end of the day. He's leading the championship, yes, by only 3 points, mind you, so he's not leading it by an absolute bucket load, but he is still leading the championship in general. So I want to put it in a way where you're not leading the championship because you're slow or you make mistakes or anything like that. Consistency, race wins, all of these things have got to be included. Sean himself has won 2 wins this season. Notvin has won 3. So they're kind of, I want to say, the standout performances of the series, I suppose, would be the way I'd put it.
I want to say something really nerdy about the Ford as well that's absolutely not interesting, but it did catch my attention.
Go on.
Is this Ford the last GTE to not have the lights on the steering wheel? Probably is. Anyway, it's a really irrelevant and an innocuous thing.
But could be right, though.
It's true. The Porsche certainly does. Oh, Ferrari maybe not, actually. Let's see if we can find a Ferrari. I reckon the Ferrari might actually have its lights elsewhere. It does have its light elsewhere as well. Oh, I was wrong. So there we go. I'm chatting rubbish.
The Corvette's got its lights elsewhere as well.
It's actually the norm, and I'm just chatting rubbish. So that's a good start.
I think they're going to forgive you, considering we're sat here at nearly 3 a.m. I would have said that at
3 p.m.
Well, would you have given us that useless bit of information that wasn't correct even during the daytime?
Yep.
Okay. Well, that's something for us to look forward to, can't we, then? Everybody at home as well. See what we have to deal with up here in the JPB booth.
Yeah.
We give you fake news.
Yeah, that was it live in action, debunked on air. Anyway, into the pit lane for the Ford. That'll be the end of the session. Justice Spears over the line here. Is he improving really? 3 green sectors, and it is a personal improvement. He stays 4th in the session. Of course, is 3rd in the standings, but just ahead of Bozak, who he's just behind in this session. And actually, I didn't actually notice that at the time. He's only behind by, well, if I look at my time on screen, 1/1000th of a second. If you look at the graphics on screen, then he's behind by no thousandths of a second. It's just the fact he set his time after Bozak, which puts him in.
Yeah, it does. And You know, don't get me wrong, the timing screen has its moments at times, but it's generally on the money. So don't forget as well, while we've got a couple of minutes just coming into the end of the session, this evening's race, obviously the main endurance race sponsors is Designers Home Gallery. Go and check them out at www.nouglyfloors.com. Get ready to embark on a design journey like never before with Designers Home Gallery, your premier destination for all things flooring. So go and check them out on that one. And as for the driver sponsor of this evening, well, the event name is the Depends Intercontinental Craptastic Extravaganza, sponsored by Cat Daddy. So thank you very much for that one, Cat. I'm not quite sure where they get these names from, to be honest.
That's quite good though. Overselling it, but
you got to give it your best, didn't you? You know, you give him a big shout out. He's sponsoring it, so fair play to him.
Yeah, got a couple of the top names over the line then late on in this qualifying session. I just saw Squilliam over the line, not that far away from pole position, just over a tenth of a second, and he didn't get that right, and he knows it immediately. Well, I said that he might have a chance for pole position, but actually he got it immediately wrong down at turn 3 and 4, up all over the curbs, and so it's really up to Bozak now. It would be a huge improvement for him to manage this of nearly half a second, but he's giving it a go, if only for his own self-confidence, because at the moment that gap between second and third is quite large for a session like this.
Yeah, it is, and to be honest, it could be the front two breaking away from the next 4 or 5. Well, maybe 6 if we can get Aimerman in there as well. And then we've got Bob Nova, Nicolator, DC, Springflower, all in and around the next lot of groups with Dutch and Mayer and Biker Pilot and Broccoli Motorsports. Got to love that one. Ryan Sharp and Jason Wanacek. So I'm hoping that we don't get what I'm kind of looking at the moment, judging by these qualifying times. I'm hoping that the pack does come together, but it could well be a Dickinson Squilliam breakaway up front.
Yeah, it could be, but Bozak will want to ensure that doesn't happen, because not only will that happen, of course, in this race, but actually it's quite a good metaphor for the championship and the way that it's going, and maybe they will start to break away in that sense as well. Through the final corner comes Bozak then, and out towards the line. Is this going to be anything to shout about in terms of a front row start for Bozak? He's got a couple of personal best sectors in there, but it's not many, and he will only slightly, narrowly improve on his own previous best. We've also seen DC improve there in 11th place. That's a new personal best for him as well. Bob Nova over the line with no improvement, and so it's Springflower, the final driver over the line, the driver with the most laps in this session for whatever reason. 7 laps somehow in the Ford, but no improvements. It's not looking likely here at the end of this qualifying session.
Depends on how many times he went back to pit lane.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, this is not counting at all, is it?
No, if he hasn't gone to pit lane and he's gone through the entire 15 minutes with 7 laps at nearly 2 minutes a lap, that's probably not far off the fact that he didn't return to pit lane in that Ford as well, which I'm quite surprised about, considering how hungry the Ford was to eat its tyres.
And we did see him in pit lane as well, so I think our time screen is slightly lying to us, if I'm honest.
Well, it's probably tired at this time in the morning. I don't know.
Is it English?
Could well be. Could well be.
I don't know. Bob Nova in the run-off at turn 1 there. That's the end of his session. I did see the timer not ticking over to 15 minutes. I'm slightly concerned about that, but hopefully it does tick forward and we can get on the grid for the race very shortly, which, of course, we're looking forward to. I believe it is doing it now. Yep. I think so. So that's all good news. 90 minutes, as I mentioned, on the clock for us. No limitations in terms of the amount of fuel they can take on here, by the way. And so the pit window is quite wide for a 90-minute race. Any time from half an hour in or so, they could come in as we have a look at the starting grid for this race. It is Dickinson who will be on the front. Oh, dear, that's all. Oh, no, we're okay. Scuddim alongside. Bozak in third place. Joshua Spears in fourth. Then, the big story, I suppose, Notovin down in fifth place. A good 4 positions behind Dickinson, who is on the front. Then we've got Prince Adam in sixth position. Edmundust and Ammerman are sharing row 4 ahead of Bob Nova, who we just saw in the runoff, and Nicoletta rounding up the top 10. DC and Springflower are on row 6 together, with Dutch and Dylan Meyer on the next row. Biker Pilot is 15th ahead of Broccoli Motorsports, which is my favourite name as well. And Brian Schwab and Jason Winnicky are the final drivers in the field. We're going to have the long formation lap, of course, but as I say, the big story they want to talk about there is Notovin in 5th position. It's not a Corvette thing. He's the second best placed Corvette, but it's a huge problem for him. Only 3 points behind Sean Dickinson going into this race. He can't really afford to fall that much further behind. He certainly can't afford to finish 5th if Dickinson's going to win, that's for sure. And so an important race start, but an important 90 minutes, more to the point, coming up for Notovin here as far as his championship challenge goes.
Yeah, absolutely. The question you got to ask yourself, is that Notovin one of these individuals that doesn't qualify very well, but then his race pace will be exceptional? And so there's certain people, I'm one of them, right? I hate qualifying. I literally am generally shocking at qualifying. I can't get a lap right. I feel under pressure. I get all, tension, elbows where they're, driving with stiff arms and everything else. I hate qualifying, but in the race, I know I've got a certain amount of time, so I can sit back, chill out, and relax. And especially over 90 minutes, right? I'm not being rude. That's a long old time. So they've got that plenty of time. So maybe Notovin might be one of these people who generally sucks at quality, but his race pace will be right up there with all the others. So it'll be very interesting to see how he gets on. You can see the team battles we've got up the front as well. So looking forward to seeing how these team battles go, all from the top 3 teams there as well. So up front, Motorsports, Night Racing and Vision. So this could be an interesting one.
Yeah, the top 6 covered by 3 teams. Yeah, as you can see with the liveries, they're quite helpfully obvious. Some teams don't make it very obvious they're in the same team. Yeah, it's good for us. It's helpful. Bit of a quiz question for you then, off the back of that. How many pole positions do you think Notovin's taken this season?
Oh man!
And you don't look either. Don't cheat.
2, 1.
No, 0.
Oh, well,
to your
go.
point, maybe proving your point about not being able to qualify, because you can have a guess as well how many he's won. How many races that is.
I mentioned it earlier actually, because Dickinson's won 2. Is it Notovin? Is Notovin in front on 3?
Yeah, he is. He does have one more to his name. It maybe does prove your point about not being able to qualify quite as well as he can race. I don't know. It's difficult to say whether that is the case or whether Dickinson's just very good at qualifying, because that's his 8th pole position of the season now. We've had 8 qualifying sessions, so clearly there may be a bit of both going on here. Dickinson very good in qualifying, clearly, but Notovin also, you can decipher from the stats anyway, seems to be more comfortable in racing conditions.
Yeah, I'd say there are them people out there, and I know that from a fact because I'm one of them as well. Not really sure what that annoying little aerial is coming out the front of that Corvette bonnet there as well. That would be really quite
in real life. I don't know what it's for, but I don't think the driver can quite see it.
No, I don't see it on anybody else's. Everybody else is kind of on the top end, but the Corvette seems to put it a bit annoying down there, to be honest. I love the Corvette.
Not as annoying. Not as annoying as the old Audi R8 GT3 released in about 2011 used to have sort of in a stock car this sort of parallel bars that run along a bit like that. Yes, a bit like that on board with a Ferrari, but a lot thicker than that, about 3 times as thick. Made it almost impossible to see out the windscreen because the bars were so thick down the middle of the windscreen. Absolute nightmare. That was distracting. But that Corvette aerial is nothing in comparison. Oh dear. Let's bring back some bad memories.
from my racing days a very long time ago.
It's very interesting when you look at the cars coming down towards you, because you've got the Porsche aerial that sticks up like an absolute trooper, and the Corvette's got that one on the front.
Have a good radio.
Yeah, we're going to go green anyway, dear sir.
Yes, we'll stop being silly and get a bit serious, because there's an hour and a half of racing ahead of us. It's the J2iCS Endurance Series here from Sebring. 3 rounds to go, just 3 points separate the top 2. Who's going to take the title as Dickinson gets away well from the front? He wants it to be him as he launches in towards turn number 1 with Carlips over the rest of the field. Squilliam trying to hold on to second place and does so through turn number 1 with Bozak getting into third. Joshua Spears down to 4th and Notovin in 5th position. The top 7 stay single file and in the same positions as they work their way through the first sector for the first time.
Yeah, and you can see on the left hand side of the tower there, the changes are from 8th below. Bob Nova's having a right little ding dong with Ammerman, DC, Nicolator and Dutch. Schwab's up 2. Biker Pilot's out already. Can't give you a reason why on that one. He just may have instantly disconnected because he's not showing us anything there as well.
William very late on the brakes there and far too late on the way down towards the hairpin at turn 7. That was a catastrophic error and it's cost him very dearly now. We know that he was the most realistic challenger to Dickinson, certainly wasn't qualifying, but he's nowhere near in the position to challenge him in the race now because of that very costly error.
Yeah, Bozak now taking up the second place. Squilliam down in 4th. Joshua Spears got through on him. Notovin sucked in right behind him as well. We can't really afford to let Dickinson run away or get away as much now, because he's 1.2 seconds up the road already. If this gap extends, it's going to be very, 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 very tough. Dickinson needs pressure to make him realise that he is in a race, because at the moment, for this man at the front of the field, just looks like he's on a Sunday drive again, and that's never a good idea. The Bozak, Spears, Squilliam and Notovin got to try and work together. Obviously for Joshua Spears, who was on the same team as Dickinson, so he's probably going out of his way to try and slow down as much as possible.
Well, I think he will have his own championship aspirations, so he won't be playing the team game too hard just yet as Ammerman gets through on DC here in towards the Sunset Bend. That was very close. One of the Corvettes. That was Notovin or Bozak.
No, Notovin. Yeah, he got very close to the wall.
Yeah, I'm not sure whether he actually grazed it or not, but he was really close through Sunset Bend there. Oh, and Squilliam's very close to ending up in the grass and the dirt, more accurately, on the side of turn 1 as well. It's all going on here early on, as 1.5 seconds is the gap. Dickinson has taken advantage of a relatively chaotic opening lap to open a lead.
Yeah, these guys, they've got to settle down now and settle in and go after him, really, and they want to close the gap. They don't want to be doing what Notovin and Squilliam are doing, which is fighting, because every time they fight, he just gets further and further away. Penny there, great qualifying from Squilliam. It was a great qualifying, but then overcooking it going into the hairpin has lost him 2 places, and he's down 2 from where he started. So he's now got to use the next hour, 1 hour and 28 minutes, to try and get that position back and try and have a good old go at the guys in front. On board with Eat My Dust now, who's chasing down Prince Adam, and he's got Bob Nova not far behind him. They're coming through the right-hander of Tower at the moment. So the Ferrari putting that Porsche, Prince Adam, all under pressure here.
Yeah, and it's certainly the right way to go about it early on in this race. Only a couple of laps into 90 minutes here in round 8 of the Endurance Series. Out of turn, or the Le Mans corner they go. That's turn 16 on this circuit towards the Oman Straight, which then puts you into Sunset Bend, which will be one of the overtaking opportunities. Got to say that we were told that the race would start 30 minutes before sunset. Doesn't look like sunset's imminent at the moment to me.
No. Got it at 10 to 7 in the evening.
I'm not changing, so it looks like we've gone back a little bit on the night racing, and we'll have to get some confirmation as to what's happened there, as Nicolatic does go through on Spring Flower there for 11th position. That puts the Ford back to where it started this race, and gains Nicoletta one of the 2 positions he lost in the opening couple of laps. Speaking of losing positions and going off circuit, we've had a relatively clean start, other than, as you say, the fact that Biker Pilot's out of the race, I think with a disconnection on the formation lap, and also Dutch, who went off the road on the opening lap. That was the only real issue, but he didn't even lose too many places. This was a pretty remarkable save. Somehow only lost 2 or 3 positions because of that.
Yeah, that was a very high-speed incident. So the fact that Dutch has held on to it, fair play, son, because that could have been really, really drastic in that camel liveried machine. Look at that. It just looks absolutely gorgeous, doesn't it, really, in that camel machine? It's absolutely stunning. But Squilliam and Notovin having a right little ding-dong further down for 4th and 5th as they're going into the right-hander of Tower now. Squilliam's on the inside, Notovin's on the outside. Is he going to be able to make it through? Not this time, but this isn't done either.
No, out of Tower corner they go, and you expect Squilliam to be making this progress and moving up the field again, but actually that's not been happening so far. He's struggled to recover from that opening lap, which saw him drop from 2nd place down at the hairpin at turn 7, right the way to nearly 5th, and once again he's teetering on the edge of 5th place. Nottingham really needs this position as he embroils himself in this championship battle with Dickinson. He needs to limit the damage today by the looks of things, and he can do that by going down the inside here, right at the top of the rev range towards Sunset Bend, and he looks like he's through. As long as he's not gone too deep into the corner, he should be through. Squilliam's coming back at him. It's a good exit, and Nottingham gets very close to the wall again on the exit of Sunset Bend. It's going to be Squilliam on the outside. The Porsche going to look for the spectacular round the outside at turn number 1, and it's not going to happen. He's going to go for the cutback manoeuvre instead. A late apex. Oh dear, and that was close. In towards turn number 3. Very nearly got to the inside. Now he has done. Now he gets to the inside. It's late on the brakes, and it's expertly done, but here comes Nottingham again. Down at turn 5, he's back through. Here comes Squilliam with another cutback. This is incredible racing.
Side by side for pretty much the first quarter of this lap, and they're side by side now on that run down Gurney Bend coming into the hairpin. Notovin's going to have the inside in that yellow and blue Corvette. He has managed to hold on to it. Now he's just got to lock up the entry, which is exactly what he did. There was a little push in the back from Squilliam. Now you got the running down through Fangio, coming into Cunningham now. Notovin does manage to hold on. He's got to block the inside off. If you give the inside to Squilliam, he's going to take it away. Into Cunningham they go, and it will be Notovin for the next couple of corners, and it'll be the run down from Tower all the way down into Le Mans if Squilliam's going to have a go. But what am I talking about? I know nothing. Squilliam's going to have a go now.
He's offline here. Nottingham was offline right the way from turn 10 there, and he's just been played like a fiddle by Squilliam, who gets the exit from Tower, and now he's going to help his teammate here come through. Oh, they're on the outside of Bishop. That's not the place to be. Inside line as they go into the Le Mans chicane. This is going to be tricky to work your way through this one. Squilliam now will be compromised on the way in towards turn 16 himself, and so he needs to get an exit here, does Nottingham, and do exactly pretty much the same thing as he did a lap ago. We're effectively in exactly the same position as we were 1 lap ago. He looks to the inside, and this time Nottingham needs to go not quite as deep into Sunset, and he does brake earlier, allowing Squilliam to look round the outside. Eventually he'll cut back to the inside for another cutback on the front straight. We're in exactly the same. It's like watching a replay of 1 lap ago.
Exactly the same thing. Exactly the same thing. Squilliam's on the outside now. Is he going to chance going around the outside again? No, he's going to try that cutback manoeuvre on him. Nottingham's got to cover him up. He's got it done. He's going to be on the inside again now. No, Nottingham just closes that door enough. And now Squilliam is back down in 5th with Nottingham in 4th.
Well, finally Nottingham through, but what a battle that was. Over a lap between the two of them. Just great racing. Such awareness of the switchback manoeuvre from both of them, and they perfectly executed it, the both of them, at least a couple of times. Phenomenal racing between the two of them. But it was done by this point as Nottingham did hold the inside line on the way towards turn 10 here at Cunningham, but just went in really deep into this corner. It was very nearly in the dirt actually at this corner 1 lap ago, and that allowed Squilliam to get a cutback line, a nicer line through 11 at Collier. And that gave him the outside for Tower, which he was able to do the switch back again. at turn 13 to get back through again. But what an amazing battle. Really costly for Nottingham actually, and Squilliam. They're both, of course, looking for championship points and so on. Squilliam less so, of course, but Nottingham certainly is. And that's cost them effectively 1.5, 2 seconds to Joshua Spears, who's still third.
Yeah, it has. But you've got to admit, that was fun. Just see them side by side for literally near enough a whole lap. Cutbacks aplenty. There was overtakes aplenty. It was just backwards and forwards and backwards and forwards, and I dread to count how many times they actually overtook each other on lap 4. It was a heck of a lot of times. So let's see if we can get a repeat of this. If we get this all the way through, I'm a very happy man here, because that was a great little battle. There was also one down here with Dylan Meyer and Springflower. You've got to get that Ford stopped, dear sir, because that's going to be a very, very heavy. Meyer, where are you going? Wherever you're going, you're not going in the right direction, but that's all due to just going in late into the final corner. So for Meyer, he's got to try and now go back at the Ford again. One of the things we are going to be picking up on as well is the fact that Bozak has pulled out. You can see the gaps on the bottom there. He's pulled out nearly 7 tenths over Dickinson, and it's closing again. So Bozak's on a little bit of a charge at the moment.
Yeah, the gap was 1.5 seconds and more at its biggest, but now Dickinson's being reeled in. And don't forget, as you say, you said earlier, he's only won twice this season, has Dickinson. That's quite low for a championship leader after 7 rounds. Especially, it's unusual for the championship leader not to have the most wins of anyone in a series. However, that's exactly the position Dickinson finds himself in now. Bozak is the one trying to take that away from him at the moment, but it's Nottingham who really needs to gain points on Dickinson. I suppose Bozak does as well. He's 4th in the standings at the moment and is 16 points back, so I guess really does need those points back, but it is going to be tricky for him to get involved in the championship fight from this distance. One bit of good news, by the way, has come out of the last lap or so. Biker Pilot is in the race. As I said earlier, he disconnected, I believe, on the formation lap, but he is in the race now. He's only completing his 3rd lap, and he's 3 laps behind anybody else, but he is in the race, and that is a good thing. And he'll be catching Dylan Meyer now, who's found himself off the road and in the pit lane.
Oh, that's an instant jump back to the pit lane as well. So whatever Dylan did, he did. Oh, curb, Porsche. Yep.
Oh no,
bumper. Yep. Did you see the bumper go flying?
Did, yeah. Absolutely flying across. Actually end up on the other side of the circuit to where the crash was, which is quite unusual.
Very impressive here. And I wonder if I can catch a picture of the bumper going flying. So we're going to spin round now. There it goes.
Oh, there you go. Wow, you don't see that very often, do you?
No.
Catapults completely onto the wrong side of the road.
Do you know the interesting thing? That's part of, I think this is with the new damage model that's been done for this season as well. And they've said that on it that parts coming off cars can cause damage to other cars if you hit the parts that are coming off.
They've gone back to that. That used to be a thing, but in open Formula cars, it used to be such a problem with parts flying literally everywhere that it was impossible to avoid damage when you were driving anywhere near a crash. So they sort of got rid of it. This was about a couple of years ago, from memory. So they've decided to get it back again. It's interesting.
Yes, as I was informed, when was I? A couple of days ago, that is now a thing now. But then it's a thing in real life, isn't it? If a tyre comes flying off and hits your GTE or GT3 in the side, it's going to cause damage. You know, might not be catastrophic, but bodywork damage it will be. But the only question for me was, when at certain points of contact, will it then jeopardize 4X situation? Will you get a 4X for you hitting the bumper of the car that's got off in front of you?
I don't know. It's these kind of reasons why it was scrapped before. Exactly. It was these kind of things that and reasons why it was scrapped before. I need to have a proper read of the patch notes again, because I read them when they come out and then I forget about them when they're implemented, and I don't know what's gone on. So I need to have a read again. But yeah, that is going to be interesting to find out. Although hopefully there's less crashing and we don't find out in some ways. But we keep everybody in the race. It does look like Dylan Meyer, though, is out from what I can see at the moment. Spent a couple of minutes seeing out the repairs, but then I think has decided to end his day only a quarter of an hour, not even a quarter of an hour into this race. So that is a shame. The battle for fourth place is still on-ish, by the way. Nottingham and Squilliam, not as close as these two. Prince Adam and Ipmadust in sixth and seventh place, the first of the Ferraris, looking for a top 6 position. And that's the situation in the race at the moment. 4 or 5 pairs of cars in the 17 remaining car field.
Yeah, and I think could be very interesting to see how this one evolves with this. Are we going to have the Porsche domination, or are the vets of the Night Racing boys going to get themselves involved in this? I think it's going to be interesting to see how this one plays out here with Bozak and Notovin, whether or not they're going to be able to get their Corvettes up to standard.
Yeah, I don't know, to be honest. Out of Tower Corner go Prince Adam and Ipmadust in 6th and 7th. Squilliam the closest at the moment in the way of making an overtake, and you would expect that. As I mentioned in qualifying, he was the second quickest and he was not that far behind Dickinson. In fact, the only driver to be anywhere near him, really. And so the fact that he is down in 5th place at the moment will be a big shame to him. It does look like we've had a couple of off-tracks further down, by the way, for Dutch and Jason Winucki as well. The biggest gainer in this race so far is Winucki. Let's have a look what's happened down here. This is at turn 10. Cunningham slightly late on the brakes, but wasn't as major as I thought, actually. And Winucki does something.
Oh, he's going to do major.
Oh, wow.
He did something that Dylan Meyer couldn't. Keep it out of the wall.
Well, it's very difficult to. Very tricky, because in Meyer's case, he was sort of foot flat to the floor on the exit of the power corner there, and just flinged it straight into the wall, which doesn't help. Into turn 5 they go now, and we're just looking for a bit of a run here on Prince Adam. He might have one. Get a bit of a slipstream around Big Bend here, even though it is a corner. After all, it's slipstreaming central. Although the Ferrari staying very much on the racing line. I wonder whether that's an indication of him staying behind Prince Adam to try and keep the pace high between these two and try and catch the front 5.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, we've been around the block in terms of broadcasting, right? We've done literally everything, every sims, everything possible. And it's always the same thing with racing. If you race the person in front of you, you lose time. So the easiest thing is to say to the guy, I'm not going to race you, let's just keep the pace up. And that is what they need to be doing, is keeping that pace up and making sure that they're on the pace with the guys on front, because otherwise they will end up losing even more gap and time to the people in front of them.
But if they don't have the speed to do it, then they are just going to keep losing time, as they are at the moment. 4.5 seconds now the margin between Sculliam and Prince Adam, the two teammates, in the pink and white. And there's the defence from Prince Adam as well. Give it just well, it's not really a defence, but a sort of a show of strength, as if to say, stay behind, please. Through the final corner they go then, and that was very close to the wall. I was going to see if he could get a good exit here, but that's not really happened on this occasion. Tell you what else that's happening, by the way. Nottingham is catching Joshua Spears for 3rd. So while he is under pressure from Squilliam, actually, we may have a 3-way battle for the final spot on the podium very soon.
Yeah, I think Spears has got to get on with it. Because he is losing that time. Nottingham closing him in. The problem is for Spears is he Nottingham's not only coming, but Nottingham's bringing Squilliam with him. You know, and that's the thing. When poor old Spears could go down 2 places here, as Nottingham's got him far too hot. Very
wide there, and Squilliam almost got alongside him immediately. Don't see that very often in the slightly awkward turn 7 hairpin, and now Nottingham's going to have to go defensive, much like they did about 10 minutes ago. Into the corner they go, and Nottingham's actually got it pulled up on the brakes a lot better this time, and he should have the place, although his line's not great through Collier. And so here comes Squilliam on the outside through Tower. If he can compromise Nottingham into the corner, then he's going to get the cut back here. He goes for the up and under, oh, very close. And that Porsche DNA tracks in once again, helping him. Now he's going to push him along. What does he really want to do here? Does he want to catch the 3 on the podium, or does he want to battle with Nottingham? He seems sort of half going for each at the moment, and he needs to either commit to helping Nottingham catch Joshua Spears, or he needs to commit to his own overtake.
Yeah, I think the sensible thing would be committing to Joshua Spears, wouldn't it? Let's be real about it. Taking a position in the championship in this race has got to be more important, because if you're fighting with each other, you can't quite get that done. So for Squilliam in general, same situation as Adam and Eat My Dust and their guys behind. Sit in behind him. He was putting you into Spears. Now that bit of fighting has brought you back out to 1.2 seconds.
Yeah, it has, and that's an increase of about a third, a half-ish of that gap, and they've got to redo that work all over again here. Bozak getting a bit close to Dickinson again here, and so that's interesting to just keep an eye on after 20 minutes have gone. So interesting, isn't it, that Dickinson's got 1 lap speed that clearly is best in the field. I don't think that's really up for debate. He guaranteed himself a few weeks ago now the most poles in the season, and we still had 4 rounds to go. But his race pace does leave something to be desired sometimes. Only 2 wins so far this season, despite the championship lead that he holds. And to be honest, even if he were to lose this race to Bozak and finish second with Nottingham down in 4th and 5th, or worse maybe as it may get for him, I think he'll be pleased with that day, but will be looking over his shoulder if this continues and these kind of race situations keep popping up. He'll be looking over his shoulder and looking for ways he can improve his speed in these races.
Yeah, but is there a way that you can improve it apart from doing quali laps constantly? And that's just going to thrash up any form of tyres that you did have. You're going to go and waste them because you're trying to hit quali lap after quali lap after quali lap. So I think the problem for Dickinson is, what is his game plan right now? Is he saving tyres, managing the gap, or is he just generally struggling in race trim?
I think the way to do it is practice race pace more and almost abandon, well, you don't want to abandon your qualifying, because after all, it's his track position that gives him so much almost tactical strength in these races. He can sort of dictate what happens from the front of the field, and he does get off to good starts. I mean, he was a second and a half out front by 2 laps gone in this race, but it's interesting to see what you can do about that. So, as you said before, some people just aren't quite as good at one thing versus the other, whether that's qualifying versus race. So sometimes it's difficult to get out of that no matter what amount of practice you do. But yeah, maybe applying a bit more of the focus to race pace would be a way to do it. So that could be difficult to justify, because then he might lose some qualifying pace and then his track position as well. So that's a pretty difficult toss-up to decide between. As we go back to 6th place now, it looks like these two are pretty stationary in terms of where they were since we last left them. Let's see on the way down towards turn 7 here. Is Eatman just making any more impression that he might go for this? Maybe. Prince Adam having to defend on the way in towards the hairpin. And, well, he's broken early enough. Ferrari's going to get a goodish run, but see if it's good enough on the way towards turn 10.
Yeah, Eat My Dust went in a little bit hot into the hairpin there. You can see now we've got Spears, Nottingham and Squilliam not very far apart. We've got these two side by side going around the right hander of Cunningham. You can see Eat My Dust is going to have the inside line. Is he going to push Adam out? He goes up over the curb. Adam's now he's got the inside into Tower. Adam does manage to hold on to that, but for how long is going to be the question. Can that Porsche keep that Ferrari going here as well? The Ferrari's looking for the inside line, not going to get it this time. Round the left-hander they go into the Le Mans, the right-hander, before they start going down the Ullman once more. Who's going to come out on top, and is this Ferrari going to have to pace down the straight?
He's going to need it, and he's not really compromised the Porsche on the way in, which is generally how these overtakes have happened on the way towards Sunset Bend, and so I'm not entirely sure this is going to be ideal in terms of making moves. He's not close enough, I don't think.
No, he's not.
Nottingham's a lot closer to Joshua Spears here. A couple of tenths of a second over the line. That's come down very quickly. And Squilliam hasn't really been able to go with it in terms of Nottingham makes an overtake. He wants to be there to sweep up the position as well, but at the moment he's not close enough. Out through turn 1 they go. Nottingham with a good run, but he's not close enough. He'll be sizing up turn 7 next.
Yeah, he's got to try and stay as close as he can through this next sequence of corners to get the run down going back. You can see the lap times on the bottom. Squilliam was slower than Nottingham from the last couple of laps. What about Joshua Spears? Well, you can see he's been slower over quite a few. Now Nottingham's closing in. He's looking for the overlap. Is Spears going to give him the room? He is. Nottingham's going to be last on the brakes. A little bit of door banging coming out now as well. On that run, now Squilliam's going to get himself involved. Can we see a three-way situation here?
That was so close. Squilliam was nearly in the side of Joshua Spears, nearly up the curb as well. But now he's alongside Ish. Oh, Joshua Spears aggressive on the way towards turn 10. He needs to go round the outside at Collier here to Squilliam, but he can't quite do it to give himself the inside at Tower. And so he couldn't take advantage in the way that he really would have liked to, but he didn't quite have the speed. Not into the dirt. Oh no! The Corvette there, after doing the hard work, is now going to be just pegged back a little bit on the way towards Bishop. He's going to have to give a bit of room to Joshua Spears here on the way towards Le Mans as well, and he fires into Spears. He should have the place. Nottingham's back on the inside by 16, and Squilliam's slowing down as if they're queuing up here behind the Corvette. Out through the corner they go onto the Ullman Straight. Interesting to see when the Nottingham goes on the defensive now for Joshua Spears, or does he just stay on the outside as he has done, and most defending drivers have actually done on the way towards this final corner on the circuit. Inside line for Joshua Spears. He's tentative. He's not quite maybe as brave as he could have been, but it doesn't matter. He's back to third, and they're as they were 1 lap ago.
Yeah, back to normal there as well, and there's a lot of racing still to come. Nottingham's going to try the inside line now. He's going to get the position. Spears is going to try that cutback. Nottingham's going to try and tidy it up. Spears is coming once more. He's going to have the inside line going into the left-hander on turn 2. Spears now has got to try and hold it. Squilliam's going to be, he's almost sat there waiting. Spears is going to send it in again. Nottingham gives him just enough room. Didn't have to give him a lot of room. He was in front, but he just gave him enough room. And Squilliam is just sat back here looking at this going, well, I don't really know where to go.
Oh, he got a good exit, and he may have been looking for a move on Joshua Spears there, but the slipstream he would have got from the Corvette probably helped him stay clear there, and he used that Porsche traction, and he has got a good run out of turn 7 here. Nottingham is not out of the woods yet as they go down towards turn 10. He doesn't feel the need to be extra defensive, and it was a good job he wasn't, because Joshua Spears wasn't going to fire down the inside. And so they stay as they were. Now, can Nottingham get Tower corner right and stay ahead for good this time? Because, after all, he was in this position last time before he made that error. And he gets through, well, still in the dirt a little bit, but a bit nicer.
Yeah, not as heavy this time as round as we're on board with Joshua Spears on that one. Through the left-hander we're going now into the right-hander here. Is this going to be where it's all going to change again? Going down the Almond Straight, you can see Spears locked in. Squilliam's locked in. Squilliam's looking for kind of a more almost slingshot action out of that corner as he jinks it off to the side. But watch and see now. Is this going to be where Spears is going to go racing up the inside of Nottingham? He's not close enough. He is nowhere near him coming into the braking zone.
No, not close enough. And so I have a feeling this is going to become a battle between the two Porsches as Nottingham tries to secure the podium place at nearly half an hour in. Goodness, that was close again for Squilliam on the exit of Sunset Bend. It seems like everyone's going to have at least one attempt at grazing that tyre wall on the exit of the corner. Now, everyone does often get very close there, but it's been extra close so far today. But there you go.
They've got their Sebring stripe, don't they, almost, I suppose you could say, on that one. Down the side there as well. So it's going to be interesting. You know when they're close enough, when the left side of the car goes up. And the reason I say that is if you have a look, I'm just going to, there's no action at the moment, but watch here. If he's close enough to the wall, the left-hand side of his car will go up, and he won't, partly because there's a bump there.
Yeah, just lifts up slightly. Yeah, a bit like a Darlington stripe, but at Sebring. Although I don't think it's quite going to work with a tyre wall. The car makes a mark on a wall, less so on a tyre wall. But anyway, I get the point. It does still work. Simple Resolution in YouTube chat mentioning that these cars are easy to race. Well, it would appear so at the moment, and we're having a lot of fun at the moment. Just under half an hour in. Also says, sort of speculatively, do these cars have ABS? Well, no. You can look up in these cars. They do have traction control. However, they don't have ABS, unlike GT3s. They are a little bit more powerful than GT3s. They do have a little bit more aerodynamics than GT3s as well. You notice they are a bit wider than GT3s, especially GT3s of this age. All these cars, with exception of the Corvette, were made probably 2017-18 type time, but at the Ford 16. So they are a little bit wider, especially than the GT3 cars were back then when they were a bit narrower. And no, they do not have ABS, but they do have traction control. It's sort of a mix between, in real life anyway, allowing the gentleman drivers to be able to control the traction, but also keeping the driving skill very much a thing. You can't just mash the brake pedal and it will stop for you. You do have to do the modulating yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, to be honest with you, I couldn't have put that any better than myself, to be honest. You've literally 100% nailed that, Mr. O'Leary, so well done.
It's my job.
You're right, it is our job, yes, but I'm just saying props for explaining it, how somebody at home might not understand what you mean.
Well, hopefully I'm not patronising anyone. Out of turn 7 go the two leaders. Dickinson might have made an error on that last lap because he has been caught by Bozak rather rapidly last time round. It was a 59.1 from Dickinson. That was the slowest of anyone inside the top 5. I would suggest that was an error from him, but you know, they're all susceptible to errors. It's very difficult to go through 90 minutes without missing an apex anywhere, and so you've got to soak up the pressure when it's your turn, and you've got to press home the mistakes when they're made by your opponents. At the moment, Dickinson's just got to do in the bit of a soaking up pressure kind of phase.
Yeah, he is. This is the stage of the race where it really tests what kind of character you've got. Are you going to make mistakes? Are you not going to make mistakes? Are you going to do it cool, calm and collectively? Are you not? Are you going to rush it? Are you going to, what's the situation? You know, there's a whole lot of heap of stuff going on in that car at the moment. It looks like Gavin Haberman has had a moment, and also the boy from Broccoli Motorsports has also had a little bit of a problem. We'll have a look back at that just as these guys go round turn 1, because I just want to see whether or not Squilliam's going to be able to close up on Joshua Spears here. There you can see the lift rise I was talking about, where if you get close enough to the wall, that happens to the car. And it doesn't look like Squilliam's going to go running around the outside of turn 1. He's going to settle in. Is he going to go and send it up into 2? Nope, he's not close enough this time. So that gives us just enough time to have a look at what Gavin Haberman got himself up to coming out of turn 1.
Oh, that's behind. Oh dear, well, let's do it with Gavin Haberman first. Just a spin, getting on the grass on the way towards turn 3. Who was that behind him? Was it Nicolator or Springflower or something? Bob Nova, maybe? I can't remember.
It was the... that is both of them, both off the same team for Gavin Haberman and Broccoli, just done practically the same thing. So, yeah, I think that was DC in that Fanatec machine.
Yes, yep, that's the name I was searching for. Springflower is off. Oh, it's in turn 5 there. Let's have a look at DC, just running slightly wide through turn 1, but actually showed insignificance in the end to the mistake that was about to happen ahead of him. That's damage.
That's damage.
That's damage Ford. Now, how's he picked that up, Springflower? I didn't see him off the road prior to this, but he's got a very damaged Ford now. That you can see that car crabbing horrendously. Now he's going around a corner right now, so it doesn't make it so obvious, but you'll notice it.
Okay, I'm going to do something because, partly due to the fact it's not showing up. So what?
Sorry about this.
That's all right. It's not, it looks like it's already broken.
Been for ages.
Oh.
Sunset.
Yeah, watch the wall hit. And this is what I mean about the new damage model. Tire damage. Bang. Bang.
Oh, that second bit will have certainly done it. Look at the degrees of steering angle there needed as well. Goodness me.
Because he couldn't get it into the pits. He missed the pit entry, didn't he?
Yeah, of course, yeah. It's the worst place possible to do it, but it's the most common as well. Hasn't lost too much downforce, clearly, but he's lost a lot of suspension.
He's got nothing. He's literally full lock-in. Oh, poor old Springflower.
Yeah. Yeah, he's still trying to get it back as well. Clearly believes that driving back is quicker than escaping back, and he's probably right, but it's not by much.
He is right.
Oh, but look at that. I mean, it's taken him ages. He can't turn right here at a clockwise circuit. That is a problem.
Yeah, but he's doing the right thing. He's got to get it back. Because the tow would be 2, 3, 4 minutes maybe. So at least he's kind of going to, I would say, neutralise that kind of situation. So fair play for him. But at the moment, we've got Dutch is alongside with Wundercheck there next to him.
Yep, round the outside for Dutch here. This will be impressive. It's a long way round, careful of the dirt. Oh, and had to just slow down at the exit there, but I think Winucki just gave a little bit of room there on the exit as well, and so they both slowed down. They do come together now, though, at turn 3. Not sure that was the reason that Dutch went off, but it certainly would have been a factor, and so he stays 13th. Bit of awkward side-to-side contact, really, and he can't make his move for 12.
Yeah, no, he's going to have to try and go once more there. That's going to be the thing. He's going to have to try and go again. Coming up now, Joshua Spears is being left by Notovin at 1.5 seconds, and that could be due to the fact that Squilliam is still giving him a whole heap of grief, as is Prince Adam, and Eat Medust is there on the back of the Omen.
They are indeed, and Eatmedust has got a better run there, and immediately Prince Adam knows it in the Porsche, going on the defensive on the way towards Sunset Bend, and Ferrari not making inroads here, really at all, despite the exit that he probably should have been getting there, in all honesty. So he has to stay behind in 7th place. Simple Resolution mentioning again, or asking again, I should say, are there any aliens in this series? Well, not biologically, but I get what you mean. The drivers, are they quick or not? Well, I guess if you want to use iRacing, an iRating as a marker of that, then Sean Dickinson at the top of the standings, currently got 6,000 iRating. Looks like he's either recently obtained that or recently fell to that, because he's on 6,006 as things stand. Loads of others above 2 and 3k, but as one of the comments, other comments says there, the top 5 especially are certainly the class of this race, and they are very quick indeed. Don't underestimate the strength of these drivers. 6,000 iRating is a lot of iRating, and there's a lot of people keeping up with someone with 6,000 iRating at the moment as well. So especially that top 5, very, very quick drivers, all of them indeed.
Yeah, well, I won't be on that list. I don't even know what mine is, but it's nowhere near that.
I'm on about 1,500, 1,600 probably.
I don't know, to be honest with you, mate. I know, obviously, it barely gets used for what the purpose is, and I know the last time it was used, my son was using it, so bless his little cotton socks there. My 13-year-old boy was using it. Probably lost quite a lot, to be honest. In fact, I could probably tell you what it is on now in road sports car.
Do you remember it? All right, go on.
By 563.
Goodness me. About half of the lowest person in here. So that's that says it all, really, doesn't it? I once logged into a session that you or your account was in once. I don't know if you remember. I was doing a bit of racing. This was about a year ago, and you were in there causing absolute carnage. It was only a practice session, so it didn't really matter, but it was quite amusing.
It wasn't me then, clearly, on that point.
No, I don't think I've ever driven against you, but I've certainly driven against your account. It was carnage. But it normally is in the Series House racing, so that's okay. Bozek just seems to have been off the road. 2.5 seconds now, the gap, and it had already ballooned to 1.5 seconds due to a mistake earlier. I think there's just been another one. As Squilliam stays behind Joshua Spears, they thought he might have made a move. Bozak certainly has dropped back, though, and that gap's very large now.
Yeah, nothing showing again, so it can't have been too dramatic. I got a second incident with Springflower. Broccoli Motorsports has also been off again, and Dutch has been off again, but nothing from Bozak, so not entirely sure what has gone on with Bozak this time around.
Yeah, he's clearly lost some time, and I did see the red number next to his name for a brief moment, a little bit longer than a conventional, just a small 1X that you might get. This is one of those circuits, by the way, where 1Xs could be a problem. It's only 16X before your first drive-through, and then it's every 8 after that. You can't get disqualified through the incident limit, but you certainly can spend a lot of time in pit lane, and I think this circuit is one of those where you do really need to worry. I mean, even in the battles that we've seen, Nottervin went off the track a couple of times into the dirt, and it's over 90 minutes. 16X is actually not very much at all. We're expecting around 45 laps in this race, and so what, you can afford one every 3 laps, which sounds like a lot, but it really could catch up with you.
Oh, it's not easy. Not easy at all, because especially with some certain parts of the race circuit where it's just so inconsistent. Managing your X's is really, really difficult. You can see there for even Squilliam just running a little bit wide. That wouldn't surprise me if that had come up that it's a 1X, because obviously the variations in track limitations, I think, as well. So it is going to be tough for them, because you've got to get, as you say, 1 in 3 laps, and that's not the most easiest thing to achieve there. And a simple resolution has put LOL in YouTube chat, so I'm probably guessing that's got something to do with my eye rate.
Yeah, I think it is. Penny Dickinson says Sean slowly pulled away from Bozak. Well, I'm willing to go along with your theory now, because since we last talked about it, the gap has gone up by yet another half second, and I know he definitely hasn't been off the road since we last talked about him, because I've been watching him. So I'm going to agree with your theory there and say that it stands up. 3.5. I mean, this is going in drastically the wrong direction for Bozak at the moment, and maybe now we went too early on Dickinson saying, his race pace isn't as good as his qualifying pace, and we need to practice more in his race pace. That at the moment is turning out to be not very good commentary, because he's looked like at the moment he's conserved his tyres through these first half of the race, and now all of a sudden, with others' tyres falling away, like Bozak maybe, he's starting to unleash that a little bit. Last time round, 58.6 was faster than anybody else in the circuit, still on the circuit at the moment. Not by much, but it was, and he's stretching out quite a lead now.
Yeah, and I think the problem for us is we don't always get it right. Come on, we are natural human beings. We're not AI commentary, which is a thing, by the way, as well. So we could put you up here with just 2 AI bots on that one. But we do get things wrong every now and then. And, fair play to Dickinson for doing a job, and Bozak for doing what he's doing at the moment. He's just obviously losing time again in the entire conservation. Possibly, but he's losing a lot of time for tyre conservation.
Don't forget that GTEs don't change tyres at the same time as doing fuel, so you really do have an interesting decision to make with regards to that. Now, in the what I would like to call the sheet of notes we get handed before each broadcast, it always says whether they anticipate a tyre change or not. The answer on this occasion is no, but I'm on paper anyway, not having done any research myself, just from my experience of Sebring, I would suggest that is a bit of a surprise, not only because of this circuit, and it is actually quite abrasive because of the bumps, it's quite harsh on tyres generally, but second of all, it looks quite warm. I know we had a look at the time of day earlier on, and it wasn't exactly, this race is not being run in the heat of the day, but it does look quite warm. And the sun is out. 47 on the circuit is not exactly cool, let's say. And so, I don't know. I personally wouldn't be surprised to see somebody going and reaching for a new set of tyres around halfway through this race. And we haven't seen anybody in. Maybe we'll see a lot of people coming in, splitting this race exactly in half.
Yeah, Ryan Schwab is in. Now, I don't know if Ryan Schwab has had a problem before he got there. But this is Ryan Schwab going around the final quarter. Oh, you're too deep.
He's already got. Oh,
You're too deep.
Ouch.
Way too deep.
Well, say that. Oh, he's definitely got damage now, but I don't know if he didn't have damage before anyway, because that car just would not turn, and it won't turn now either. But let's have a look at this. Does this car look damaged or not? Oh no, I think no. He's just got that very wrong, hasn't he?
Wrong, isn't he?
Oh god.
Too much speed. Yeah, too much speed, hitting the bumps, and unfortunately just it took him out there on that one. Going back to what you were saying about tyres, I would be shocked if they didn't take tyres. 90 minutes is a long time. The general rule of it is, and this is what I've learned over the 4 years I've been within this iRacing community that we have here, is the fact that anything under 60 minutes you can get away without taking tyres. But anything over 60 minutes, generally, you want to think about taking tyres. You're on an abrasive circuit like Sebring. You're pushing lots of lefts and lots of rights. You're heavy on the brakes at times as well. I think it would be beneficial to take tyres. I'm just saying.
Well, I'm not willing to go against the guys who've given us the information, so I'm going to stick with no for now. But coming into this, I certainly was anticipating a tyre change, that's for sure. And the fact that we have not seen anybody in yet does go along with that as well, because if you are going to change tyres, you'd want to do it on halfway, as Dutch is doing at the moment. Now, we'll just stay with this. I know this might not be the most exciting viewing for the next 20 seconds, but I just want to see whether the car goes up on the jacks or not, and we can really see whether there are going to be, at least 2 tyres taken. That would be helpful. So down on the floor, fuel will always be done first, so you'll never see the car jacked up immediately like you do in GT3 or GT. And there you go. So now the car gets jacked up after about 20 seconds. The anticipated fuel fill, by the way, 23 seconds, 20 seconds as a fuel fill. So he's at least taking 2 tyres there, is Dutch, and I have a feeling we'll be seeing a bit more of that to come.
Yep, and I have a feeling that we're going to see a Notovin Bozak situation going on very, very shortly as well, because Notovin's pulled Bozak in with a second, while Dickinson is 5 seconds out in front of that. So maybe that is the situation with tyres. Bozak just might not have any left.
And I wonder whether there's going to be differences in this front 5 as to how many and who takes tyres here. That would be a very interesting second half of the race. I've got to say, I've been enthralled by this first 45 minutes. I've really enjoyed it so far. For all the things I was saying about Sebring at the start, I've been proven wrong so far. So I'm pleased. This is one of those occasions I'm pleased to be proven wrong, because this has been very entertaining so far. And Squilliam looking for another move. Oh, he's been one of the main characters, if you like, of this first 45 minutes, and he was nearly looking up the inside there. Yeah,
he tried to send it on the inside, didn't quite get it done that time around. So it's going to be interesting to see what Squilliam's doing here. I'm interested to see how this is going to go. I'm wondering if this is going to be a team order swap here, and Notovin's going to be released down the Ullman.
I wonder. Yeah,
it's got to be.
I wonder.
Gotta be.
You might be right. It does seem like the sensible choice, but again, I think Bozak will have designs on his own championship charge as well, because it's not over for him at the moment. It's not a stretch to call it a 4-horse race, I don't believe, and so it's going to be difficult to persuade him to move out the way when he does have his own chances in this championship. Oh, that was an awkward swap. They did try and do a bit of team play there, but that wasn't the smoothest teammate decision you've ever seen.
No. That was idea. He's going up the inside of me. And you saw the jolt from Bozak there as well. If you have a look at the overtake itself, you'll see the left hand. There you go, just about on that one. Let me get that bit under a bit of a better picture here. You can see there, just that little wiggle from Bozak. Thinks, it actually is coming. And he went through Notovin. So now it's down to Notovin to clear Bozak and start going after Dickinson, but it depends on what tyres Notovin's even got coming forward as well. So there you go on that one.
That was very much led by Notovin, who had a look up the inside there and almost forced Bozak to move out the way. No moving out the way here. Contact, no! A huge crash for Squilliam, who's in the wall at the hairpin, and that car may well not move from there, I'm afraid to say. We've seen him be such an animator of this race, such a great battler so far through the first 50 minutes, but unfortunately he's found himself in the wall, and this is how. Oh, it's an awkward hairpin. I've said it before,
And
but
it tightens
it's
up.
difficult to tell who's at fault for that, really.
Yeah, the problem you got is it really tightens up on that on the run out as well. So for Squilliam, he wasn't going to give himself the most amount of room. You can see it just squeezes up there. You could argue that Squilliam should have gone a little bit more to the right, but...
And also, you can argue that the Joshua Spears is coming across into to his right, into Squilliam as well. There's two arguments that can be made there. In my opinion, they can be made quite convincingly. I don't know how Race Control is going to look at that one, especially because Joshua Spears is sort of sliding under traction at the time as well. That's a difficult call to make, I think. And it's so difficult, in fact, that Race Control may well just decide that it is a racing incident.
Yeah. You do often think whether or not that's going to be an easier out, isn't it, by saying it's a racing incident?
Well, not just the easier one, but just the correct one, because there's so much at play that, you know, it's... Where did that other car go? Hang on. So we were just following a battle here with Bob Nova. Just went off there at Le Mans, didn't he? And dropped behind Nicolay. Yeah, sorry, I looked away for a moment, and all of a sudden he was gone. And Bob Nova losing play. Yeah, I think it would just maybe the right one to make for Race Control. There's so many variables at play there that actually punishing anyone for it would seem a bit harsh on either of them, even though Squilliam is the one who's ended up in the wall with effectively his race ruined here.
Yeah, but it's like the iRacing system. If you can't proportion blame, you can't call it either way. You know what I mean? So it's a difficult one, isn't it? You can't sit back and say, oh, it's his fault, when you can't actually pin it on somebody. We've seen blatant incidents, right? We've seen a lot of incidents where me and you have sat back and gone, it's his fault. You can't, because you've got arguments that Squilliam should have left room on the outside, and you've got arguments the fact that Joshua Spears was coming off the curb and trying to take the racing line. How's it going to work out there on that one?
Or indeed seeing the same incident and coming to a different conclusion on it. You know, that's common as well. So it is very difficult to say in these situations. I find I don't know if Race Control is going to find anything other than a racing incident personally, but we'll see after the fact, of course, as the battle for fifth place is going to re-emerge as probably the closest. Bob Nova is just ahead of Springfire here, but they're not on the same lap. Pleased to see that the Ford is back out there again after a fast repair and not actually a very long stop at all. So it's still very much in this race, but is a lap down. Squilliam now over 3 minutes in the lane and still getting repaired as Joshua Spears comes in.
That could also be due to towing on that one.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it will be. I don't know how long the tow would be. I'd be surprised if it's 3 minutes, but then, of course, he'll want to do... he'll probably do his fuel and 4 tyres and a fast repair in this stop as well. So,
is he going to
it's
go
not looking
up?
promising for him returning now.
No, but is Joshua Spears going to go up on the jacks here?
Let's find out. He's been in for nearly 20 seconds now. He'll either leave soon or go up on the jacks. Which is it going to be here for Joshua Spears?
Leave.
He's going to go. So no tyres for him. Will that be the norm across the front 4, or will that be the anomaly? I wonder.
I think that could quite possibly be the wrong decision on that one. No, Joshua never... We're not saying that...
No, it wouldn't be intentional, but...
It wasn't intentional, but he was coming off. No. The problem was, if you had a look at this incident again, and I'll try and slow it down just a little bit, and we'll give you a quick decipher of what we're talking about. As they come through, and now let me see if I can get up right behind Josh here. You can see Josh's racing line is naturally to come into the corner. He's sliding, he's off the track, and he's probably, could say, a little bit out of control. Now, if you go back to where Squilliam is, and I'm going to shoot this backwards really quickly here. Squilliam has got quite a lot of track to the right-hand side that he can use.
Yeah, there's two things at play there. There is Squilliam. If these two go from here exactly as they are, then Squilliam's going to push Joshua off. So that's a problem. But also, Joshua's not entirely in control of his car. And so it ends up with this quite dramatic meeting of cars, actually, that is quite abnormal. And again, it's an abnormal hairpin, which makes it awkward too. And the fact that wall is exactly there is pretty unlucky too. So there's a lot going on there. But for all those reasons, the fact that, as you say, you can say what Squilliam did wrong and what Joshua Spears did wrong in the same move means to me that is a racing incident, and there's not a lot that anyone could really do about that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think by the time we've got through the deciphering part of that, I think we are literally correct. I did want to see if Prince Adam is going to go up on the jacks here. He's coming up to near that 20-second mark. Is he going to go up or is he going to go out? He's out as well. So another man. I do wonder if this is a dangerous game to play on that one.
Well,
there.
But if everyone does it, doesn't matter really when you think about it, because if everyone's suffering on tyres, then okay, everyone will be slow, but everyone will be doing the same slow, so it won't matter. If everybody, I'm looking forward to seeing if someone's going to be brave here. I wouldn't expect it from Dickinson or Nottingham because they've got a lot to lose and they are fighting for a championship with just 3 rounds to go. Someone like a Bozak, who's just lost out to his teammate, knows he's not as quick as the front two over a 90-minute distance. Why not come in and chuck 4 tyres on? What do you realistically have to lose? I know they do have a team's championship, to go and have a look at as well. But you haven't got an awful lot to lose, and it's been pretty difficult for him to finish any worse than 5th, as Dickinson does now come into the pit lane after 28 laps, expecting them to be able to go at least one more, and Nottingham is going to go at least one more with his teammate.
Yeah, him and Bozak together there. It depends on what Eatma Dust is going to do as well. Is he going to be able to get through one more lap? He's not, so he's going to go in. I don't expect Dickinson to be taking tyres, as you say. I think he's coming in, what we got about, another 10 seconds, but his aim really would be Joshua Spears, and it's whether or not Spears is going to be, he's coming down into Sunset, the final corner, and Nottingham doesn't take tyres there. There's no way that was a tyre stop at the same time. So he goes, Dickinson, doesn't take tyres and goes straight back out again there. So, once his pit stop cycle kind of goes through, we'll have a more better idea of who's really going to be where.
That was pretty crucial as well to get ahead of Nicolator, who's 4 seconds behind, and could well get in the way of Nottingham and Bozak if they are unlucky. I think they would be pretty unlucky to get into trouble with that, but it could happen. So we'll wait and see on that front. Bob Nova and Ammerman also into the pit lane. Prince Adam leaves the pit lane and goes straight into the grass at turn 1, but it is okay, and on the road at position 7. Ammerman and Bob Nova will drop down further and further. Unfortunately, Squilliam is out of the race after that incident. 6 minutes in the box, but unfortunately is out from there. So it looks like our 3rd retirement. And as Biker Pilot says in the YouTube chat, it was indeed a disconnection on the parade lap that killed him, and that's a real shame. But good of you to join us here. Out of the pit lane for Ammerman and Bob Nova, and they're absolutely locked together here for 10th place.
Yeah, these guys gone in and out together, so that's great to see. Bob Nova, I think, I would sit back and say, Bob, with the fact that he's got a 36-second stop as Ammerman has gone off in front of us, I would say Bob Nova's taken tyres.
Yep, I would say so too. We might get a clear indication of that very shortly as well in the last half an hour. Down in towards turn 7. Look how much later he brakes. Oh, well, that was a mistake rather than tyres. And he's gone through the added joker lap almost. Well, nearly has. He's gone through the grass and he's cost himself a lot of time there. So some of the new tyre benefit will have dissipated there, but I believe you're correct. He has done that as Bozak now makes his way out of pit lane. Half a second quicker in the box than Dickinson, but he's easily passed by the race leader.
Yeah, he has gone through. Spears is not going to get in front of Bozak. Sorry, I was trying to think there where he's actually going to come out, Bozak. He come out back in 3rd place. Nicolator's in now. It's going to be what Notovin's going to do. Notovin's got a pit, I would probably say, this lap.
Yeah, we were only expecting 29 actually, and we're on 30, so he's already exceeding expectation now. Is Notovin, but that's what he does. He'll be staying out that 1 lap longer just so he could get that little bit less fuel on board in the pit lane. It's already worked for Bozak, getting half a second off his time, and I think he'll look to get a second off at least here. Will Notovin? Will he subsidise that with 2 tyres or anything? It's looking unlikely. For those leaders, for the real top guys, 90 minutes conserving on these tyres is not a problem. In fact, the top 10 currently are all on the tyres they started the race on, although Winucki is about to drop out of that top 10. In comes Notovin then, and on the brakes, he's fast in, but he knows exactly when he can brake. He knows that he can make up time. And as I say in broadcast very regularly, it's one of the underrated practicing things. You can gain a lot of time by braking late for the pit lane. Down the lane he goes to the right-hand side, stops quite a long way back because he was nowhere near pole, really. Right on the marks, which is exactly what you need. Get that pit stop and lane time down as much as possible. Try and put some seconds out of your stop compared to Dickinson, and then really chase him down in this final half an hour. There is the race leader, and he surely will be race leader on the exit here, or will he? He's out very early here, is Notovin, and this extra lap has saved him a lot of time. 3 seconds it saved him very nearly, and all of a sudden he's not going to be in the lead, but he's going to really put the pressure on the championship leader as the rivals do battle again with half an hour to go here at Sebring.
Yeah, absolutely imperative that Notovin shorten that stop down. And he did do it, and he did it really well. And now it's a straight 1 second gap between Notovin and Dickinson. All that work that Dickinson did at the beginning, gone, puffed away. So Notovin now, it's all on him. It's what he's going to be able to do. He cannot afford to make a mistake. He's only got to go and charge. And that is what I expect to see over the next sort of half an hour, 29 minutes.
Well, can he reverse the damage of the previous round where he lost 3 points to Dickinson? That's exactly the gap that they have between them at the moment here, between Dickinson and Notovin. What a championship battle we have, with 2 rounds to go after this one. Just 3 more hours of racing to come in this season, the J2iCS Endurance Series here. This is round 8 of 10, and we're counting down now, counting down the minutes, but this is going to be a grandstand last half an hour. 28 minutes to go when they get to the line. That's going to translate to exactly 14 laps. They'll know exactly how long is remaining in this race, and Notovin knows exactly how long he's got to overtake Dickinson. The race leader knows exactly how long he's got to hang on to this race lead.
I think the question is going to be who's going to have the tyres at the end. Is Notovin going to have the tyres at the end? Is Dickinson going to have the tyres at the end? This very abrasive, concrete-esque circuit is obviously an old airport as well. It's very bumpy, very hard on the tyres. Who's going to have it to the point of where they can get these cars over the line efficiently enough where they have not worn out them tyres from the beginning of the race?
Absolutely. So this is going to be a fascinating battle. On board we go with Notovin here as he tries to close down Dickinson. Say these two have done battle many times before, and if one of these two do win the race, then they will have taken 3/4 of the victories this season. But will it be Dickinson tying it up at 3 each? Will it be Notovin streaking ahead with 4 wins to his name? And when you actually look back at the scope of this race, where Notovin's come from, qualifying 5th, being a long way back in a big battle between himself, Joshua Spears and Squilliam as well, losing a lot of time in that battle. It's quite remarkable that he's even in this situation at all.
Mm-hmm. But then, what did we mention early on in the broadcast? Doesn't matter where he qualifies, if he's got the race pace, that's all that's important. And clearly for Notovin, he's definitely got some pace in that car.
Yeah, well, yes, but I don't know. I still would say that qualifying would matter, but clearly it hasn't really. or not as much today. I mean, but in the same way, qualifying has mattered for Dickinson because he's held on to track position from the very start. He weathered a bit of a storm from Bozak, and now he's in because the leader will always be in prime position unless in very unusual circumstances. Sebring, certainly, if you're in the lead, you're in prime position. And so surely Dickinson here does still hold an advantage because he is in the lead.
I would say generally yes, but then I would also say we're at Sebring. I would also say that there's the Allman Straight and there's this run down into turn 1, and Nottingham got it down to less than 3/10 at this moment in time. So Dickinson's got a quali lap. Nottingham is just got to try and go after him and stay with him where he needs to on the draft parts of the circuit and keep up with the twisties in the middle, because at the moment Nottingham's got it all to play for.
He certainly does. This is very interesting indeed as they make their way through the first sector. This is a better line from Nottingham through turn 5, and this could be the first chance. Oh, it's not quite got the exit. The line was good on the entry, but the exit not quite as good. That's what you need on the way towards the hairpin here, and that's what he hasn't got. He would have to be brave on the brakes. The lucky thing for the two of them, well, not lucky because they have earned it, but the advantage that these two have got, another one that plays into both their hands this time, the 8-second gap back to Bozak. They realistically can fight very hard over this race win, and they don't have to worry about inviting someone else into the battle.
Yeah, I think that's the important thing, isn't it? What they don't want to endure, though, is that they don't really, although the fighting is going to be gloves off, Tyson Holyfield situation, you don't want them making contact, because 8 seconds, although it sounds a lot, but if you're in the wall or in a barrier, 8 seconds ain't going to mean nothing. So they've got to keep the battles clean. They've got to keep sure that they stay away from each other and make sure that any overtakes that take place, nice, clean overtakes. That's what we're going to want to see.
Yep, and that's hopefully what we're going to get here. Out through the or down the Allman Straight they go. Look at those sector times. There's barely anything between the two of them, and that's what you expect when they're locked together so much. Dickinson will of course be gained on down the Allman Straight because of the effects of the slipstream. Not have been just using a bit of rear tyre there, especially for the rear left, which takes a real pounding through Sunset Bend. Over the line they go. Just 9 seconds over the hour. Now they do have to be a little bit careful here that they don't go for one extra lap, and I think Nottingham could be in a bit of trouble if they go for an extra lap because of how short his pit stop was. So normally that would mean 12 laps to go that time round, but if they stretch this race out for a 13th lap remaining here, then I reckon Nottingham could be in a bit of trouble.
Yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting way to see here, isn't it? We're obviously not in the car. We don't know if he did any saving when he was out there the first time. The symbol there in YouTube chat, that bump entering front straight is absurd. I don't know if you, let me know if you've ever driven Sebring. If not, I would probably go and find it in a simulator somewhere, because the whole track's bumpy. It's one of the characteristics.
Yeah, there are some bigger ones than others. Let's put it that way. It is always.
It
is bumpy everywhere. You're right, but Sunset Bend in the final corner is especially bad. And also, to be honest, I know you were talking a little bit about it early on. The little bit of a raised bit next to the wall. Mm-hmm. That isn't really there in real life. I don't know why iRacing's got it, because it isn't really there. So I don't know. The last corner is a bit odd. But so is this whole circuit anyway. Out of the final scan.
Hold on a minute.
Sorry.
You admitted yourself that you've enjoyed this racing this evening.
I have enjoyed it. Yeah, it's more than I thought I would. That's for sure. Through the back. I just don't like driving the circuit very much. Here comes Nottingham on the inside into Sunset Bend, and now he'll go for it. So late on the brakes in the Corvette. Has he got it wrong? Oh, it's disastrous. He's so nearly got in the wall there. That was so close to disaster for the championship protagonist Nottingham, who is only 3 points behind Dickinson. He nearly saw it all slip away from him into Sunset Bend there.
Yeah, he went in like an absolute banshee. The question will be, did he hit that wall on that outside line? Can I get an you're going to kill me with an angle now, aren't you?
He didn't hit it. He did get close. Goodness me. That wall is just ahead of the actual tyre wall itself, just to help slow the impact to the actual tyre wall should you reach there. Because if you do, then you're probably going at very high speed. And so, goodness me, that was a big moment. It could have been a huge moment in this championship. By the way, if you're wondering what the difference in points is here, by the way, it's 35 for a race win, 32 for second should they finish like this. As battle for 12th place goes on. There's also a point for pole position and fastest lap. Of course, Dickinson has already got the one for pole position, and at the moment has the one for fastest lap as well. So even if Nottingham wins this race, he could only end up gaining 1 point, which will be a pretty small return for his efforts.
Yeah, but, you know, any point's a good point, right?
I suppose it's better than losing 5, which is what would happen at the moment.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Schwab.
Oh dear. Was there contact there? I'm not sure the camera angle did him any favours.
No, I think he hit the curb there. I don't believe there was any contact at all.
Oh no, you're right, yeah. They're miles apart.
Yeah.
Glad that he saved it just in time before he hit the wall, like we saw with Dylan Meyer earlier. He is one of 3 retirements. Biker Plot was set back a few laps from the very beginning after disconnecting on the formation lap, and Squilliam as well after a crash 25 laps into the race. We're now 35 laps into the race, and we've got 10 to go. Dickinson and Nottingham over the line together again here, and 0.2 of a second gained by the Corvette. He is quicker, but he needs to find a way through in these final 20 minutes.
Yeah, he's got to make sure that he has what they almost call the perfect lap here. He's got to absolutely bury this to make sure that he's going to be able to get this done. And I think for Nottingham, what he's got to do is just pick your moment. Don't rush your moment. Pick your moment. You know, and make sure that they can just get through cleanly on each other there, because it's very hard. Symbol, if you're talking about the incident we just watched with Ryan Schwab, I can tell you now that if you accelerate on the curb on the outside of Tower, which is where he was, the car is most likely to spin you. It does not like curbs. It's like any curb generally on this circuit. If you accelerate while you're on it, or you slam the throttle down like an absolute madman, there's a chance your car's going round. So that could be the problem of what happened with Ryan Schwab.
Locks it up just to make sure that he stayed in 13th position, and that might well be his race in terms of where he finishes through the Le Mans chicane. Go these two again. I mean, that overtake, or attempted overtake anyway, a couple of laps ago, has given me the confidence in Nottingham that he can make this move, because he was in the position to do it. I personally believe he didn't need to brake that late to actually make the move work there. He just did brake far too late in Nottingham there, and very nearly sent him straight into the wall. But actually, if there's a little bit more caution on the way towards Sunset Bend as he tries to overtake next time around, then maybe he'll have a little bit more success as they go over the line again. Will it be 9 to go? They're going very quickly, which could force an extra lap.
Yeah, it could well do that. Then we're going to have the added problem of who's got the fuel to get to the end of Nottingham. You can't keep doing that, Sunshine. You've got to be aware that you're only running on a small amount of X's. And this track does like to feed them to you. So he's going to have to be very careful. It could be a little bit of last lap fuel splash dash drama that we might see here as well, Mr. O'Leary. So it's something that we're going to have to keep an eye on throughout this. This is the closest battle on your track. Everybody else is quite spread out at this moment in time. You can see from the track map in the top right hand corner, there's gaps all the way through the field from 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th and all the way through, and this is the closest battle. But even that at the moment, Dickinson's opened up 2 tenths here, not have been back out to 8th tenth again.
Here's a bit of a big brain play that might be required. What if Nottingham gets into a battle here and purposely draws himself into a battle with Dickinson here, so he can slow the speed down of the race, slow the pace down of the two of them, and then make sure there isn't an extra lap, because at the moment there is going to be one if they continue doing 58.9, which, by the way, at this stage in the race is very good speed. If they keep doing that, then they are going to have to do 9 laps after this one and not 8, as Notvin will be hoping, because with 19 seconds in the box, 2 seconds shorter than anybody else inside the top 10, and a second shorter than anybody else inside the entire field, 3 seconds quicker than Dickinson very nearly, he is not going to survive an extra lap, surely.
Well, you would have thought so, but then he was a bit later on the pit lap, wasn't he? 2 laps later than Dickinson.
Only 1 lap. Well, yeah.
2 laps later than Dickinson, 1 lap later than Bozak.
Yeah, but that wouldn't have ended 2.5 seconds.
No, it will be very, very close. It will be very close.
Yeah, he's lost a couple of attempts there as well. Bit of a sloppy lap from him there. Just needs to regather himself here and get a bit closer. If Dickinson could just hold on and keep him at arm's length here, then he will be doing well. That sort of region from 5 to 8 temps looks like, because it goes orange on our leaderboard, does look like it would be of concern to a leader, but actually it's when it goes to the orange that it really becomes a concern, and when it goes below 5 tenths of a second that it really becomes a concern. The slipstream becomes really powerful. The overtaking opportunities do become viable, and that's when he'll be concerned. But at the moment, Dickinson, I think, will be quite pleased to hold on at this arm's length distance for the rest of the race.
Well, if he can do it, then fair play to him. You know, at the end of the day, Dickinson's not a slouch when he drives, right? And he's not leading the championship because he is. But Notvin is tucked in right behind him. So can't afford to make a mistake. Why so many Porsche entries but Corvette P2 and 3? Well, just preference. Simple, I think, is the question. It's just preference on their car choices that they want to drive. You know, we've got, as I say, we've got a Ford out there, we've got Corvettes, we've got obviously Porsches, and the Porsches just seem to be the car of choice here in this series. So there's not a lot really we can do about that.
Oh, that was Notvin going wide through Le Mans, and I just feel it's starting to unravel slightly for him now, as he will have got another off track there. Maybe that's something he's trying to monitor as well. If he's teetering close to the 16 incident points that he needs to avoid, then he will be feeling very self-conscious about going anywhere near the side of the circuit, really, which can be a problem around here at Sebring. It is a lot down to preference. It's very hard for us to tell which car is strongest, to be honest, because when Sean Dickinson's at the front of this field and he's got, you know, a very strong I rating of 6k, it's a very difficult argument to make that he's not just the best driver, and that's why Porsche is in the lead. It's a coincidence that everybody else has gone for the same. But also, you see the highest rated driver selecting this car, driving this car, then you're going to think to give it a go as well. So it's down to a lot of factors. I find that sometimes as well it comes down to the very simple factor of which car do I own for this series. Okay, yep. I own this one, so I'll drive it. It can be as simple as that. Yeah,
it can be, because it does happen, and it's same with me in TCRs. I've only got the Audi, so that's all I drive in the TCRs when I'm out there, and I've got the Corvette in this GTEs. I've got a few more GT3s, but generally people don't like spending loads and loads of money on the content that comes in this simulator. I do want to pick up on what is going on with Josh Spears down here, and how Bozak has lost so much time. I think Bozak is on the edge of the cliff at the moment, Mr. O'Leary, where his tyres are pretty much shot.
Well, I don't know the reason for sure, but he has lost 1.4 seconds in that last lap, and it's only getting worse for him. I think he's missed the apex at Tower now as well. Joshua Spears is very quick indeed, and crouching underneath trying to the very low to the ground Corvette, and here he goes, maybe looking up the inside. Bozak's not going to be able to do much to defend, really. He can barely hit the apexes on his own. He's certainly going to struggle to when he's side by side, or at least embroiled in a battle like this one. Through Le Mans they go, out onto the Ullman Straight. The slipstream not quite as powerful, again just because of pure aerodynamic physics. You can see the Porsche can't quite crouch behind the Corvette in its entirety, and so that does provide a bit of a problem for it. In towards Sunset it goes, and now will he get the exit that he really needs? Well, not really. Didn't quite get as close to the barrier as he needed to there, but it's okay. Bozak feels the need to defend, but does go back to the racing line. Spears says I'm not having any of that, and he has a look up the inside, but he's not close enough along the inside. Bozak was fairly late in his manoeuvre, but he was just about all right, and he hangs on to third place.
Yeah, but for how much longer? That's going to be the question for Bozak at this moment in time, is how much longer is he going to be able to hang on for? Because it looks like even now he's lost half a second over the last lap to Josh itself. So Josh has got the bit between the teeth. He's going to be looking at pulling out at this moment in time as well, as Josh going to be side by side down into the hairpin. Not this time. Josh again slots in behind him here, Ewan, but I do wonder how long this is likely to take before this happens.
Look at that tumbling gap on the bottom right there. It's absolutely crashed down, especially that last lap. But Bozak has gathered it together again recently. He's on the defensive now, though, from Joshua Spears round the outside at turn 10. You get the inside for 11 and 12. The hip check gets him through. It's not the first time we've seen side-to-side contact for Joshua Spears, but I really don't think he did very much to instigate that one. Difficult to tell from live. And is he giving the place up here? He is, by the looks of this. Or is he just losing some time on the exit because of his exit from Tower Corner? I'm not entirely sure. No, he is carrying on, and I think he should do. I don't think he did anything wrong there. And he will hold on to third place. He'll carry on in third, and it looks like he deserves third as well at the moment.
Yeah, I think you're right. I don't think he did anything wrong at all, to be honest. I think it was nice, clean, fair racing, and at the end of the day, it was what it was. I don't believe he actually made contact. I know they were very close, but
they definitely did. But
well, they didn't.
It was well, they shouldn't have done. I think it was netcode, to be honest with you. From the ground camera, it looked like there was. Yeah, there was netcode there. So nothing that either of them could have done about that. But Joshua Spears, especially, was just holding his line, so he will march on now, and I think he'll have the tyres to take that final spot on the podium. Gap for the lead just below a second with 5 laps to go. This gap certainly is as well. It's for 13th place, but this is for the lead of the race. Dickinson holding on against Noverton at the moment. I think he's in control. Again, spoke about arm's distance earlier on. He's still holding Noverton at a comfortable advantage at the moment for Dickinson. He's not got this in the bag by any means, but he's just holding him at arm's length for now in these final 10 minutes.
Yeah, and that's basically what he's got to do, isn't it? He's managing the gap. He's keeping it down below just above the 8/10 mark at the moment. I think the Porsche driver is using the vet and will make a very aggressive move within 10 minutes. The Porsche driver is using the vet.
I think that was talking about the third place battle that we were watching.
Yeah,
lap or two ago. Yeah, that we do forget that these YouTube messages are delayed, and by the time that people hear us talking about them, they're even more delayed. So it's
there's a lot of delaying going on there, Mr. O'Leary.
There is, but there's not exactly anything we can do about it. No. Out through the final corner we go again. Now look at the clock there, ticking down to 8 minutes. Where's the line? There it is, 8 minutes and 3-ish. Well, if they do 59s in the mid to high 59s, then there isn't. This is really close for an extra lap, by the way. And I think Nottingham's going to be really nervous about it. I don't see a way in which he has had such a short fuel stop, and he's accounted for there being an extra lap. I don't see it physically possible, but it might be. I just don't see it personally. He will be praying that this race ends in 4 laps.
Well, there's back markers there as well, so they can
Bob Nova.
Yeah, they can play a part. Depends on what Bob Nova really wants to do. Whether or not he's going to look at jumping out the way now, or is he going to stay there? Well, answered the question. That isn't Bob Nova in front then. Who is that in front of them at the moment?
Oh,
Jason. There you go. They got the same
Jason.
thing. Yeah. So it really does depend on what Jason's going to do. Ideally now would be the time to lift and let them through, but he's not doing it.
Well, not quite. not into Bishop, and this could be a problem for Dickinson here in the next few corners. He's going to have to negotiate him into these turns, and it's going to be pretty disconcerting for Winucki as well, who will see that in the rearview mirror, and it's a very pressurised situation for him to be in. Now pulls out of the way on the right-hand side. Dickinson gets through, and look at that, not even moving to try and get the slipstream as much as possible. Will he let them both through? It looks like it. He's going to stay to the inside line and let them both through, but the Corvette did get a bit of a slipstream off of that one. Again, though, he's not quite got the speed at Nottingham at the moment. He's back down below a second, but he's just not quite quick enough to get close enough to make a move.
Yeah, he's back out 1.1. I don't know really whether or not the back marker had anything to do with that, or Nottingham's just losing a little bit of time bit by bit by bit. 1.1 again now. So yeah, no, I can't really see past Dickinson because of the fact that Nottingham has just lost quite a bit of time.
Yeah.
What did he lose over that?
Generally through speed, really, he's been losing time, to be honest. So I just don't think he's quick enough at the moment. And again, I alluded to this earlier on, but actually to come from where he's come from in this race, qualifying in 5th place, getting embroiled and bogged down in a battle for 3rd place that set him, a lot of seconds behind Dickinson and everybody else behind. Came out the pit lane with a lot of enthusiasm, of course, but didn't quite have that extra bit of speed to come over the line. And we talked earlier about whether qualifying is important. Well, here is a reason writ large for us on our screen why I think it is. Dickinson has been in the lead from lights to flag here, and he's been in control not only of this race but of his own tyres and his own speed, whereas Nottingham's had to fight with those around him, not only losing time to pass the 3 drivers he's had to get up into 2nd place, but actually he's had to use extra of his tyres when he didn't want to. He's not been able to manage his tyres quite in the same way that Dickinson has, and so while on paper it looks like qualifying hasn't mattered because the two of them started 4 positions apart and they're going to finish a second apart by the looks of things, but actually Dickinson has had a much more controlled race where he's in control of the variables than Nottingham has because of his 8th pole position in a row.
Yeah, and he's been out front, he's had nothing to deal with, he's had no problems whatsoever. But unfortunately Nottingham has got to try and come back through the field as well. We've got Prince Adam and Eat the Dust. That is a swap over, but I also want to look at just really quickly, what did you do, Dutch? Because whatever you've done, you've jumped yourself back into the pit lane here, coming down into the hairpin.
I wonder if it could be the wall on the right hand side. Oh no, it's just
stop
timing. I'm afraid. So that's our 4th retirement, but I believe he's done 90% of the race, so he should get points. Nevertheless, through the final corner for Prince Adam, he is looking very quick on the back of this Ferrari, which was ahead of him, of course, not so long ago. The two with similar pit stop times, but Prince Adam looking to go around the outside here. Well, that would have been impressive. He's going to switch back to the inside, which is much more the conventional thing to do. Big slide, huge slide for Ipmados there, and that was very close to a big bit of contact. And thankfully, there was nothing too bad, but goodness me, that was close to something pretty major. Prince Adam will have to look for somewhere else to make the move.
Yeah, I think he's got to be patient. They're only going to get, where are the leaders actually? 2 laps generally here. So Adam's got to be a little bit more sensible. I wouldn't necessarily say wait for the last lap, because that will be... It's like playing the lottery, isn't it, really? You never know quite what's going to happen. So if he gets an opportunity, I would say take it. But never say never with some drivers holding on to the final lap.
Yep, absolutely. Through the 10th corner they go. And, this is the closest battle on the circuit, notwithstanding the 2 leaders, of course, who are maybe about to go on to the final lap. Are they seeing the white flag here as they come through the final corner? I wonder. Going to be, as I said, a really close one. The starter stand is well up on the left where almost nothing else is, so he should be visible. Is he waving a flag? No, he's not waving a flag. So sometimes they throw the checker flag without a white one, but not often, and it looks like there may be 2 to go.
Yeah, it depends on how quick Dickinson wants to go around the circuit, isn't it, really? If he can hold it, if he wants to back off a little bit, he can and bring it down a lap. it has done it before with us, and we'll have to see how this one goes here.
Well, Notovin's throwing everything at it, almost as if it is the last lap here. So I wonder whether he thinks this is the last lap, or whether, who knows, whether it is, whether it's not, what they're thinking at the moment. On board with Dickinson, who's seeing his lead evaporate for the first time in quite some time. Notovin was maybe just playing a masterstroke, just holding back 1 second behind, just so that he could strike on this final lap, use all of the tyres up, overheat them on this final lap, knowing that he won't be needing them ever again. He's throwing everything, sliding through turn 10. He's got the line wrong at 11 and 12. He's losing time again. He's pushed so hard, but Dickinson at the moment has got the margin, and Notovin not close enough just for now to make a move.
Yeah, I wonder with Dickinson making the same mistakes as sliding as well, coming out of tower, whether or not Dickinson's tyres are getting to the end here. Because if they are going to have this extra one, Penny says it in YouTube chat, Sean has to fuel save. So this could be an eye-opener on whether or not Dickinson's going to get to the end, or if not, Vin's going to get to the end. Because at the moment, the pace they're going, I don't know, you know.
I'd be surprised if Sean has to fuel save, but I'll take your word for it. Through the final corner then, final 10 seconds of this race. Are we going to see the checkered flag here or not? Or is it going to be Dickinson here? Oh, we're going to get one more. The time has actually elapsed, but there will be one more. Well, they've been so quick in this race that these two have forced everyone onto an extra lap. Now, will that mean that anyone runs out of fuel here? Somehow, that means that Notovin is not running out of fuel for the moment, and somehow he's got enough. I'm slightly bemused by that. Surely we'll see him slowing down on this final lap just to make sure. I don't know, but he's half a second behind again here out of turn 5. He needs to fashion something by the final corner of this race.
Yeah, and the back marker this time, that is Bob Nova in front of us. So it's going to come in whether or how is Bob Nova going to... Oh.
Just gone. He's just got out the way entirely. Yeah. No, he just went deep into the corner and got out the way.
Okay.
He went wide to get out the way. Quite dramatic, but he's okay.
Well, he did it in the right way, didn't he? Let's be real. Don't want me ranting about blue flags on the final lap.
No, we'll leave that for another day. Through turn 11 and 12, and Notovin is struggling through there a lot. Not sure what it is. Why, but that's 2 laps in a row where he's lost so much time through there, and surely at 0.8 of a second Dickinson's going to be hanging on. This is a really important day for this championship as far as Dickinson's concerned, especially. He's got pole position and the fastest lap already in the bag. No one's going to be touching that now with the tyres they've all got on board, so that's 2 points gained immediately, but more importantly he'll get the 3 for the gap between first and second, gaining 5 points on the day, putting an 8-point championship lead in the bag, as opposed to just a 2-point championship lead, which it would be if the positions were reversed. An opportunity missed maybe for Notovin, but certainly a victory gained for Dickinson as he comes through to take his 3rd race win of the season. He takes round 8 in the J2iCS Endurance Series. What a fantastic race between Dickinson and Notovin, but it's the championship leader who extends his lead by nearly 3 times, and now takes it to the final 2 rounds, knowing that it is within his hands, and he holds the momentum, the advantage, and maybe the path to the title as well. Dickinson takes his 3rd race victory of the season.
Yeah, he's done a great job there as well. It's 3 for 3, Notovin and Dickinson now. Prince Adam and Eat the Dust were coming over. Ooh. Adam just makes it through and comes over the line. Great job there from them guys, and a great little bit of fighting towards the end of that race. So there you go on that one. Go Sean P1. Yes, he was do it there as well. Symbol, make 7 Up yours. Makes
7 Up?
7 Up, yeah, the drink. Fizzy lemonade.
Anyone fancy a lemonade?
I don't know if it's a lemonade I'd want about now, though.
Oh, well...
Could drink.
Well, no, maybe not. No. But there we go. This gap's coming down a little bit. It's not going to come down quickly enough, but DC closing in on Nicoletta quite dramatically, actually. We've only been watching them for a few corners or so, but it's come down by a second. It's not going to come down enough. Nicoletta will finish 7th ahead of DC in 8th, with Ammerman in 9th. That's all of those who finished on the lead lap. As we saw, Bob Nova going a lap down right at the very end there, as Dickinson and Nottingham were coming through on their leading battle. They were just overtaken, or he was just overtaken, Bob Nova, right at the very end, as Ammerman crosses the line by weaving around. Probably knows that he's on TV, so just weaving around. That's all okay. So here are your results after a great 46 laps of racing. Dickinson taking the win ahead of Nottingham by just 8 tenths of a second in the end. Joshua Spears rounding out the podium with Bozak 4th. Prince Adam overtook just towards the end for that 5th place. Nicoletta did hold on from DC and Ammerman, the final driver, on the lead lap. Bob Nova was 10th ahead of Winucki, who was 11th, just ahead of Springflat, who recovered quite nicely to 12th. Schwab finishing 13th ahead of Brockley Motorsports in 14th, and then those that didn't finish. Dutch, who may not score points actually after that one, may have spoken too soon there. May just miss out. Sculliam certainly won't, neither will Biker Pilot or Dylan Meyer. Those are your 18 drivers in the field. Let's bring in Dickinson, who has won the race, of course, by just less than a second. Sean, welcome in. Good to have you with us. I mean, tell us about those final few laps and that final stint. Yourself and Nottingham were separated by about a second the entire time. How tense were you in those final 30 minutes?
The final 30 minutes weren't the worst. When that last stint started, my car was terrible. So I was waiting to get the fuel down so it kind of came alive and I was able to push again. But I thought for sure I did not have the race in the bag. I thought I was going to finish second. So I'm just happy I was able to stay out front.
And a quick word on the final 2 races now as well. You've got an 8-point championship lead. How you feeling about
that? Pretty decent. I like the tracks coming up. So Sebring, this one I love Sebring, but there was a scheduling issue because after the update, static weather wasn't progressing time, so the track was twice as hot as it was supposed to be. So unfortunately, this was a bit of a fluke when we were all struggling, but I think the next 2 we should have that figured out, and it should be a little more fun here.
I suspected that might have been a problem. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to before we let you go?
Yeah, thanks to Josh, all the help with the setups, my team, SimCity Racing, those guys are pretty awesome over there, and then my mom for always watching and being a part of the broadcast there for you guys.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Absolutely. Yeah, cheering you on. Congratulations on the win, and thanks for chatting to us as well.
Hey, thanks for the broadcast, guys.
Take care.
Thanks very much. Sean Dickinson there, the winner tonight, ahead of Nottingham, who joins us from second. Welcome in, Nottingham. Good to have you with us. I mean, just 8 tenths away from victory. How hard were you pushing in those final couple of laps to get there?
Oh, I was sliding so much. The back tires had no grip at the end. They were so bad.
I suspected you were pushing as if you didn't want to be on those tyres for a single second longer after the race anymore because of the way you were driving towards the end. I mean, are you ruining a little bit qualifying because you did qualify 5th position and maybe a little bit concerned about what might happen for you in the race? Maybe Sebring wasn't one of your preferred circuits, but actually you raced a lot better and you nearly won in the end. Are you looking back at qualifying with disappointment a little bit?
Not really. I mean, if you look at my qualifying stats, they're abysmal. Like, I don't think I've ever started in the top 3. It's just one of those things where we always gear our setups towards the race, and you can really see it in this race.
That's one of the few things we got right today, then. In that case, that's a good sign. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to before we let you go?
Yeah, I'd like to thank my teammate Bozak. He tried pretty hard too, and he was really struggling with the worn tires, but definitely could have finished a lot better than 1st there.
Well, it's a good team day, I suppose. 2nd and 4th, and a nice result for you on the podium. Congratulations on 2nd, and thanks for chatting to us as well.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks very much. Nottingham there finishing in 2nd position, ahead of Joshua Spears as well, who finished on the bottom step of the podium in no man's land by the end, Josh, but a good race for you sort of action-wise, especially in the first half. But big incident between yourself and Squilliam about half of the way through that one. Just tell us about that one from your perspective down at the hairpin.
Honestly, when I was just watching it on my replay, I left the door open, but then when I touched the dirt, all I did was wheel spin and then went right straight into him, and that's when I killed him. So I apologize about that, but I mean that's just what happens when you touch the dirt.
We gave it a racing incident, to be honest. It was one of those things at an awkward corner. Awkward things can happen like that. I mean, how are you feeling about finishing on the podium? You must be very pleased to actually be pretty comfortably on the podium by the end. Bozak, I know we're struggling a little bit, but how are you feeling coming off the end of that, finishing third?
Oh, honestly, I'm ecstatic about it because, like, when I was watching Nodovan and Bozak just pull away, I was just like, I've got no chance to get a podium. I was like, I was relegating to fourth, maybe even fifth with my issue with Sculliam. But then that happened, and slowly I started noticing that the tires were coming back towards the end. I was also saving, so I had like 45% tire at the end. So I was actually pretty happy for that.
Congratulations on third. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to before we let you go?
Obviously, it's just Sean, and for making the setups and giving me the time to be able to run them and learn the ins and outs of them.
Congratulations, as I say, on finishing on the podium tonight, and thanks for coming to chat to us as well.
Yeah, thank you. Have a great one, guys.
Thanks very much. Joshua Spears there, finishing in third place tonight. Well, as I said, James, been pleasantly surprised by Sebring tonight. A grandstand finish, less than a second between the top two, and great racing throughout as well.
Have we converted you, Mr. O'Leary, into a Sebring lover?
No, definitely not. But, I enjoyed tonight.
Okay, cool. Well, there you go. Step in the right direction. One step at a time, mate. One step at a time.
You can't make these changes all at once, can you? Because that's catastrophe. So there you go. But yeah, it's been a thoroughly enjoyable round of the championship. I know that myself and James will be back for some more of them. Not quite all, but some and most. So make sure you subscribe to the JPB YouTube channel. We'll be here for all of the remaining Endurance Series races, of course, here on a Wednesday night. So if you're willing to be around, we'll be back. Same time, same place on the JPB YouTube channel. But for now, from myself, Ian Leary, and James Parfitt alongside me until the next round of the J2iCS Endurance Series, it's goodbye for now.